Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Will's Weekly Wonders. This week I enter Squid Games. For those of you who aren't familiar, Squid Games was a hit Netflix show which came onto our screens a couple of years ago and has recently been adapted into a reality TV show. The premise of the show is that contestants will compete across multiple games until there is one winner, who will then go on to receive a phenomenal amount of money. Now, whilst watching a recent episode, the challenge was based around the game Battleships, and I thought with it coming up to Christmas, this would be the perfect time for some gaming, and I would try and replicate this in Alteryx. This was a prime use case for both our spatial capabilities, but also with chained analytical apps, essentially the ability to create and reference new information as the process continues, something which is extremely important in Battleships, which requires that feedback on your attempts. Now, over to the game itself. Now, as I click into my wand icon, this opens up the first part of our analytical app. Now, at this step, I just need to hit continue so I can move into the process. Now, what I've built in here is information to go alongside at every step. So at the point that I hit OK here, I'm presented with my initial invitation into Squid Games as they would have received on the TV show if you have seen it. In this case, it highlights the challenge that lays ahead of me with Battleships. Now, as I go back to Alteryx, we can now see that a map has appeared on my screen. Now, traditionally in Battleships, you will have a defined grid area of which you can place your ships. But we wanted to take that a step further here in Alteryx and allow you to define where you would like your battle to take place. In my case here, I go ahead and create a polygon shape anywhere that I would like. We are going to focus this on the sea, given it's Battleships, but you could update this to be anywhere. Now, at the point that I hit done, it's going to go and create that grid for me, and both players would be sent that information. Now, step 2 of Battleships is defining where your ships actually need to be placed. Now, in my instance here, I can see that grid has been created, and I can go and add in the 3 ships that I've got available to me. Now, in different iterations, they can be a different number. For the purpose of this, we've just gone with 3. Now, all I need to do to define them, I can use this box, and I can select where I would like my ships to go. I can define the size of them, so whether they're submarines, I've forgotten the names of the other ships, but we can select our first one, and I can add more of these as I go through onto the map and can place them anywhere across the grid. So now, in my instance, I placed 3 ships onto there, load, and I can hit continue. Now, of course, I'm just playing from one person, so this demo loses a little bit of its general flow, but at this stage it would now be up to the opponents to try and hit those ships and where they've been placed. Now, of course, in this scenario, I do actually know where those have been identified, but for any end user, they wouldn't have that information. But they get presented with exactly that same grid to begin with. So they might think, my first guess, I want to go in the bottom left, and I can select that 1 square. Now, importantly, in Battleships, you can only select 1 square at a time. Now, at the point that I hit continue, this is where we start to get information provided back to us on our go, that feedback loop that I spoke about at the beginning. Now, here I can see what's left on the board that's open, and my go here. Now, it's already identified that it was a miss, but this information has now been updated, so I've got a visual representation of where I might want to go next and where I might not want to. But also, the next time I go into this, that square and that grid has now been removed, and that information has been updated of where I might want to attack. Now, in this case, I can select where I know there's going to be a ship, so we can see how that impacts the board. Now, as I hit OK, that report is again updated. Now I can identify that this was a hit, the grid area that I would have selected, and again, we can now see where my previous attempts have been. Now, without wanting to take you through a full game, the next part I have jumped ahead towards the end of this, so we can start to see that as I've taken more and more goes, I can see different areas of the map that have been taken up. And of course, I'd have had that information of where I've struck before. Now, if I were to hit my final go onto grid 7-3, I get presented with this report. Of course, I have now won. So here I can see I've sunk all of their ships. I can see all of the places that I've had my attempts, where is still left open, and where I might want to attack in the future. Now, this is a really quick example of how you can use Alteryx to start with your Christmas fun, your games, and even into entering Squid Games. Thanks for watching.